Elizabeth Shue is Chris, a young woman who takes a last-minute babysitting job after her boyfriend Mike cancels their date at the last minute. But just when it seems like this is going to be another uneventful evening, a sudden desperate call from a friend in need will have Chris and the kids in her care navigating the dangers of the big city in Adventures in Babysitting. Hi, I'm Cinematico Magnifico of AmoralCrackpot.com, and welcome to the Nightly Chill. The directorial debut of Chris Columbus, Adventures in Babysitting, is a relic of a very different time in American cinema. Not that this is a bad thing, mind you, but Adventures in Babysitting is not the most well-remembered movie to come out of the 1980s, nor did any of its stars manage the same sort of high-profile success as its director after the movie's release some 30 years ago. Though, oddly enough, it does feature one of the earliest on-screen appearances of actor Vincent D'Onofrio. But most importantly, this somewhat cult classic is a bit more rough around the edges than many of the other better-remembered movies from the same period. For example, the three children in Chris's care, the two siblings, Brad and Sarah, and Brad's best friend Daryl, as well as Chris's best friend Brenda, are about as grating and dim-witted as humanly possible. Usually in these sorts of movies, it's the adults who are incapable of outwitting or handling the precocious brats they're put up against. But in Adventures in Babysitting, it's exclusively the older characters who are competent or likable in most regards. Brad and Sarah's parents, the one-handed tow truck driver, frat boys and gangsters. The go-to approach to this material is to show us the world from the point of view of our main characters. In this case, it'd be highlighting the chaos and dangers of a big city from the perspective of sheltered suburban kids and teens. Everything is big and overblown due to the youth and inexperience of these characters. But Columbus elected to play things fairly straight while still having the characters react to everything as if it were the end of the world. And as a result, we have these cartoon-like reactions and personalities sticking out like sore thumbs against an otherwise realistic world with fairly realistic dangers. The characters, as a result, come across as fairly stupid. Aside from the initial conflict of getting a flat tire in the middle of a busy freeway while attempting to pick up Brenda at a bus station, nothing in Adventures in Babysitting feels organic. Every conflict from that point onward is a result of stupid people acting in a very stupid way to something fairly innocuous. Yes, it leads to a lot of fun moments that would never have happened otherwise, but it's more likely to frustrate than entertain when the movie constantly struggles to keep the plot going without another contrived, convoluted act of idiocy from one of its characters. But despite its more aggravating shortcomings as a film, Adventures in Babysitting still manages to be well-paced, funny, and even charming more often than not. The contrived nature of every twist and turn can be just as grating as some of the characters, yes, but it also keeps the movie from settling into a predictable state of mind. Unless you've seen the movie before, it's not likely you'll expect what's coming around the next corner, or the one after that. Even the grating characters are intentionally depicted that way. Chris is the most mature member of our core group of four, but she's also only barely out of high school. Brad and Daryl both are still in high school, and as a result are every bit as irritating and immature to Chris as they are to us, the viewers. The same goes for the much younger Sarah. And even Brenda, who's the same age as Chris, is arguably overreacting in just the right amount for any sheltered young woman who suddenly finds herself out of her comfort zone. Now, there are several good reasons why Adventures in Babysitting isn't as well or fondly remembered as similar 80s movies. The acting, as pitch perfect as it can be for a movie like this, isn't as memorable as anything that happens in the movie. The main cast of characters certainly aren't as memorable as the supporting players. The story is fairly basic, the plot is convoluted, and the actions of its characters are contrived. Even the soundtrack is about as unimpressive or uncatchy as they come. Aside from the opening scene with Chris getting ready for his soon-to-be canceled date, the movie's score and soundtrack are effectively an afterthought. But there's also a reason why it hasn't completely been lost to the sands of time. There's certainly a reason why someone thought it would be a good idea to produce a made-for-TV remake just last year, and I believe that reason is the intentionally absurd nature of the whole thing, of the seemingly tame start and premise that quickly landslides into a series of ever-worsening, over-the-top, off-the-wall conflicts. Almost nothing in Adventure in Babysitting plays out the way we're conditioned to expect, and it's that absurd nature, along with its very 1980s sensibilities and charm, that has me inclined to suggest you chill with Adventures in Babysitting. That's gonna do it for us tonight on the Nightly Chill. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and also be sure to leave me any questions, comments, suggestions for future reviews, and maybe even discuss today's movie at greater length. And as always, this video is brought to you in part by our viewers. If you'd like to learn how to support this and other projects, please visit amoralcrackpot.com or check the description below. But until next time, y'all need to make like a tree and get out of here.
Thank you.